Hello and welcome back to my channel. I did something crazy today. What did I do, you may ask? So you guys know that I got the 40-gallon tank. I decided, now that two of my crabs seem to be getting ready to molt, I figured I would get a few more because I have the space. Just to kind of have all the other ones molt. And I went into Petco, picked out 3 different size hermit crabs because hermit crabs get along and they're very social. As I go to leave and check out, the lady at Petco crushes a hermit crab with the rock, putting the stuff back in the house to close up the tank. And I had to go get Leo and pick him up from work. But after I went and picked him up from work, I decided that I wanted to adopt the rest of the hermit crabs inside that Petco and give them a good life, because the way that Petco is taking care of them was not how they should be taken care of. I figured there's maybe 6 hermit crabs in there from what I could see, but if they start scooping them out, they start digging underneath the substrate. It's some that were sleeping. I left with 21 hermit crabs total, including the 3 that I got earlier. So now I have a total of 23 hermit crabs. And yeah, so one of the main reasons why I noticed that Petco was not taking very good care of their animals is when they set that rock down and I heard that crunch noise. Damaging a hermit crab's shell is so horrible, and they had no replacement shells inside the tank. So that one was left with a cracked shell. They also weren't taking care of heat, weren't taking care of the humidity. There was not enough substrate. The usual too many hermit crabs per 10-gallon tank. So yeah, based off all of those factors and the way that the Petco people were not being careful with hermit crabs, I had a large enough tank where I was like, I can take care of these hermit crabs and give them refuge. Bought all of the hermit crabs, like $130 to $150 of hermit crabs later. They are all in the tank. They came with painted shells, which, if you know from my last videos, paint is very toxic to hermit crabs. So I'll be going back to Naples Seashell Company and getting them some natural shells. But the good thing about that is a lot of these hermit crabs were very small, and so based on size on the website, I will be able to get most of their shells for like 70 to 90 cents each for the smaller ones, which is nice because I have 23 hermit crabs. So it'll be really good for them to be able to have natural shells. 2 of them came with cracked shells. The one that the lady smushed with a rock, its shell was broken and some of its legs were broke off. And another one had a broken shell with jagged edges. So those ones will be really important to replacing, but as they molt and as they grow, now that they have enough substrate, tall enough where they can decide to molt, that will be really good for them. In addition to being able to get out of the toxic painted shells and out of their cracked shells. I just pulled this crab out here. This is one of the new crabs with the painted shell. He has like a superhero painted on the side of his shell. But if you notice, his shell is also jagged and broken. There's damage to the side. This is not a good shell for a hermit crab. And the worst part is that when hermit crabs are kidnapped from the wild, that they do not like these types of shells, but they're forced out, pulled out, like froze out of their original shells to climb into painted shells to be bought at a pet store. So when I order some of their new shells, they'll be so excited to put them on. The part that made me so excited is these were all very happy hermit crabs. They're kind of lethargic being in the pet store setting, but rinsing them and placing them into the larger tank, I could tell immediately that they were going to thrive. Like, they were running around, they were climbing, having the humidity, having the substrate, having space, being taken care of properly. It really does wonders. And I'm glad that they started adapting really well, because a lot of hermit crabs will pass away being brought into new conditions because the damage that the pet store had done to them is too far. And for me to adjust these ones into this large tank, usually if you're adjusting maybe a couple hermit crabs, you would put them in an isolation tank for a few days, check their health, let them acclimate, and then the website said dip them in from their fresh water in the isolation tank and then dip them in the fresh water of the new tank, so that the old hermit crabs smelled the new hermit crabs. I did not have a large enough isolation tank for that purpose, so I checked them for mites. I rinsed the hermit crabs in dechlorinated salt water, dipped them really good. None of the hermit crabs had mites. I just transferred them right in there. I don't think they'll have any problems with my other hermit crabs. My other hermit crabs are currently molting, and the main problem with that is that the main problem with acclimating new hermit crabs is that the original hermit crabs can become territorial and take up space, take up food. My current hermit crabs are molting, and I don't think that I'll have that problem, especially just dipping them in the salt water. I think they should be good. I got varying sizes. A lot of the websites said that hermit crabs shouldn't have problems with each other, that being able to get varying size and species shouldn't be a problem. I think they are all the same species. You know, the tags on the pet store just say, like, assorted fancy hermit crab, which is like the painted ones, or like large hermit crabs, but they all have like the same skin tones. They're all just happen to be different sizes. The real challenging part going forward is to order the shells. So I'll usually maybe get them the same size and then the next size up and see how that works. Sometimes a little larger. All of the hermit crabs are slightly different and varying sizes. So this weekend, I'm going to have to pull all the hermit crabs out one by one, count them, take a tape measure across, and measure the openings of their shells. So that should be good. But yeah, pick them out one by one and put them in a separate container just so that I know I'm not counting any of them twice. And then going on the website and doing a 1/4 of an inch to an 1/8 of an inch larger. They probably should be molting sooner than later. Usually in pet store conditions, they can't molt because of the lack of substrate and they don't want to attempt a surface molt. But now that there's enough salt water, fresh water, the substrate, the conditions are right, some of them that have put off molting should start molting. I wanted to get hermit crab snacks. Some of the stuff they had at the pet store, you've probably seen them, like hermit crab crunchies, like the little peanut butter things, or dried fruit, and then their natural food is kind of the pellets. I've been trying to give them fresh fruit. My 2 original crabs, Rick and Morty, kind of reject like the blueberries and the lettuce and the carrots. These guys might appreciate that a lot more coming from the pet store. So I didn't get the dried fruit. Wasn't sure how I really felt about the peanut butter crunchies. I might try those next time. For these ones, they had just like little coconut shavings. So I mixed a little bit of that in with their food, and I'm going to see if they like it. These new crabs love climbing. My 2 original crabs were never very interested in it. We put up like a coconut wall that they advertise as being for hermit crabs. But it's like the hermit crabs were like getting stuck in it, and I was using duct tape because the suction cups and the Velcro were not working. One of the hermit crabs was grabbing onto the duct tape, wouldn't let go of it, so we took the coconut wall out very quickly, probably within under 10 minutes. And we have like a dry log with holes in it. I'll have to show it to you, that you can get in like the reptile section, like the desert part of the reptile section. So far, none of the crabs have climbed on it, but in other hermit crab owners' terrariums, I have seen those like desert sticks, those logs that are used for climbing. So maybe the longer that they're in there, they'll realize it and get to know it a little more, but so far they're not paying very much attention to it. One of the other small changes we made is a lot of the hermit crabs were piling up in the corner. Like, they love to snuggle. They're very social creatures. So we moved one of the main houses into the corner for the hermit crabs. But a lot of them, especially the smaller ones, were climbing in the sides and on top, and we worried about them getting stuck, especially if a larger hermit crab like moved or shifted the house in the corner. So we just took some of the coconut substrate and pushed it over and filled in the sides and a little bit of the top and behind, kind of to make it like a cave. And none of the hermit crabs have gotten stuck. That seems to be a hit, and it's also working very well. And I think it's time to show you all the hermit crabs. This looked a lot fuller earlier. There's quite a few crabs in there. Here, I'll go through the outside. There's some corner hermit crabs. Here, I'll lift up this coconut hut. Oh, there's a couple under there. I might just adjust that. It's hard setting things down because you don't know where crabs are. There's one under what's left of a coconut wall. One is hiding underneath this shell. A lot of them are buried. Like I said, I have 23 hermit crabs. Maybe like 12 are visible right now. I don't think any are in the corner. Oh, there's a corner crab. My 2 original crabs with the natural shell are buried right now. But these are the above ground hermit crabs currently. Thank you for watching my newest video. Leave it a like. And don't stop at the Petco in Spokane over by the Northtown Mall. That is where I got these crabs and they were not being taken care of.